Raider Nation. Thank you for joining us on the Only Nation podcast, brought to you by the Raider Ramble. My name is Heidi, but you may know me as Kepler Prawn Dress or even Raider Ladybug. I'm here with Raider Homer and T3 Raider Facts, and we're ready to talk some Raiders football together.
Always ready to talk Raider football, and this episode, we have a lot to talk about.
The 2021 NFL Draft is now in the books, and it's time to bring the band back together with a few new pieces, so let's go.
Today on the show, we'll take a look at how the Raiders did in the 2021 NFL Draft, and then we'll take a closer look at the defensive side of the ball over the past few years, and then ask the question, who are going to be the Raiders' fan favorites this year?
All right, Raider Nation, this is the Only Nation podcast, and we want to hear from the Only Nation. So, give us a call. Just call 904-701-8667. That's 904-701-8667. Leave us a voicemail or send us a text, man. We want to hear y'all's opinion. Get in touch with us. Interact with us, Raider Nation. Let's get it done.
Here's the latest Raider news.
The NFL Draft wrapped up in Cleveland, Ohio this past Saturday, and the Raiders came away with 7 new players, led by first-round pick Alex Leatherwood, the offensive tackle out of Alabama, and second-round safety Trevon Moehrig out of TCU, filling 2 of the Raiders' biggest targeted need areas.
You know, there was a lot of hoopla coming from the Raider Nation about the pick, Alex Leatherwood pick. But I got to say, I called it, I don't want to be that guy, but I don't mind being that guy. I feel like if you're a fan, you need to really pay attention to what the team has done in the previous drafts and the previous free agents signings, free agent that led to the draft, the free agency that led to the draft. We knew we needed a right tackle, okay? So there were a lot of them on the board, right? Don't worry about the name so much, but pay attention to the positions that we need. Alex Leatherwood, though, you go back and you do your research, a lot of people liked him. And they were talking about the Ravens trying to swoop him up in the first round. So don't get all upset, that's getting old, Raider Nation. And Raider Nation Radio, Clay Baker, who I met in Vegas during the draft party, even talked about that. Don't be so negative, man. Don't bash these kids, y'all. These kids we're the Raider Nation, man. These kids see us on social media trashing them, man. Don't do that, all right? Be happy for this kid. Be happy that we got the guy we wanted. This kid can play inside, outside, all right? They want him at the right tackle. If he doesn't quite work out, you can move him into guard, and you can move good out to right tackle. These are the type of players that we need, high-character players, players that played well, right? Alabama's been putting pro players in the NFL for a long time, all right? So we want to run, and Alex Leatherwood grades out well in the run, all right? Pass protection, you can work on that. I believe Tom Cable will get that up to par. And if he needs some help, you can always put the tight end on his side. So I'm happy that we did what we needed to do to get that glaring hole filled that we had on the right side of the offensive line. And then to get Moehrig, that's awesome, right? I knew we were going to get a safety too. Go back and listen to the Raider Homers. Go back and listen to Monday Nights Live. I knew we were going to get a safety. Because that was another hole. Even though we signed Carl Joseph, we need to fill that hole. So just be patient, Raider Nation. Stay calm. Stay pride and poise. Remember that. All right. That's what you need to do. Is be, a proud fan. Have poise. Don't just be a jackass, please.
All I'm going to say is we ended up with a tackle who was a 3-time starter, consensus first-team All-American, and Outland Trophy winner on the best team in the nation, undoubtedly, and so he slides in as a tackle. And then to top it all off, in the second round, we get the player who's obviously the best safety in the draft, who instantly comes in to the back end. So in rounds 1 and 2, we got not only the holes filled that we need to fill, but we might have just gotten the 2 best players for those 2 positions to fill those needs. Mic drop.
Raiders GM Mike Mayock believes that the Raiders have gotten, in his words, exponentially better, as he reflected on the draft haul made by the Silver and Black. With rookie minicamps just around the corner, he is setting his sights on getting the young players ready to compete, but still under some COVID restrictions that limit the number of players in at a time. Still, Mayock says, let's see what these kids can bring to the table for us, and our coaches are so fired up, they're chomping at the bit.
And I think really the coaches will make the big difference. The young secondary that we had last year would have benefited so much with not just coaching, but good coaching. Now we get a training camp. Now we get these guys under Gus Bradley's system. We get them familiar with it. And now we've gotten a couple of experienced guys to help them out on the back end. I think this thing is going to come together. And I think the defense is going to make leaps and bounds. It may not be a top 10 defense this year, but I think it's going to be a lot better. I think it already is.
You know, not having mini camps last year, obviously that hurt our rookies, right? This year, even though it's limited, these guys are going to get a chance to learn from these coaches that we talk about. You know, I think that this is, very important, right? That system that we had in place in the NFL for a long time was working. And then last year it showed that how important it was to have that system in place with mini camps and things like that. So, COVID is not quite over yet, but hey, we're coming out on the other side. There's light at the end of the tunnel. I'm looking forward to seeing what, like Tom Cable can do with Leatherwood, what Bradley can do with Moreg. There's a lot to be excited about right now, Raider Nation. Again, let's just stay positive, stay motivated, and cheer on our team,
Following the draft, the Raiders also added a few undrafted free agents to the roster. Here are the selections. Darius Stills, defensive tackle, West Virginia. Dylan Stoner, best name ever, wide receiver, Oklahoma State. Garrett Groshek, running back, Wisconsin. Max Richardson, linebacker, Boston College. Deveray Hamilton, offensive tackle, Duke. Trey Ragas, running back, Louisville. DJ Turner, wide receiver, Pittsburgh. TJ Morrison, defensive back, Stony Brook. Matt Bushman, tight end, BYU.
You hit it on the head right there. Stoner, Dylan Stoner, that's the best name since Kush. I can't remember the guy's first name, but yeah, that would be a jersey to have. The other good one, as far as name-wise, is the Diablo jersey. I kind of like that too,
Yeah, let's see what happens. I'm keeping my eye on Darius Stills, the defensive tackle out of West Virginia. I really hope he makes the team and adds to that defensive line depth, which I will talk about a little later.
Yeah, I got my eyes on Stills and Matt Bushman, BYU tight end. That kid can play. He can really play.
This is why I want the Raider Nation. I'm imploring the Raider Nation to be patient. Like, to me, these guys, these are long shots to make the team, all right? We got the 2000, we just re-signed Colton Miller, right? That's 2018. We got the 2019 draft class, and then we got last year's draft class, and now we got this draft class. We have a lot of depth that we've drafted, So, I hope one of these guys makes it, you know what I mean? Especially the Stoner dude. That would be fun. But, look, man, it's a long shot now, Raider Nation. We got our guys, man. We're taking our pick of what we want now to see who else is going to be able to contribute to the team. I think that we're in a great spot as a team now. There's a lot of talk, move up, move back. And the Raiders don't necessarily do that with Mike Mayock and John Gruden. Of course, they did it a couple times this draft, but they haven't done it a whole lot. But I think since we have all this depth, now we can start to make those big moves. And I'm not talking Aaron Rodgers, okay? That would set us back. He's an older guy. If we traded the house for him, he'd be gone in 3 years, and then we wouldn't have the depth that we've been able to create through the draft these last 3 years. So, I'm excited, but I think that right now it's going to be tough for these guys to make this team.
Well, can I just ask a quick question? Who is that you were talking about? Are you talking some? No,
Stoner
some guy who's a quarterback for Green Bay. What's that guy's name?
Nobody important.
Oh man, yeah, Aaron Rodgers. Look, just stop. This is what I mean. Aaron Rodgers is doing to the Raiders. What he's trying to do is the same thing that Russell Wilson and Watson did. He is using the Raiders as leverage. He's in his late 30s, y'all. We're going younger. It's not gonna happen, and he's not gonna step in and make this team. He a Super Bowl contender. We're not quite there yet. You know what I mean? Aaron Rodgers, stop trying to leverage the Raiders or use the Raiders as leverage to get out of Green Bay or to get some kind of contract extension. Like, we don't want old guys right now. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? We don't want old guys.
And of course, I was just clowning. All this talk goes nowhere. It's not even a possibility. I'm not even entertaining the notion.
Yeah, and you never know where these kids are going to come from. We still have Jalen Richard. His time may be coming to an end sometime soon, just because we've been able to stack up so many other running backs, but he came as a walk-on tryout player. He wasn't even a regular undrafted free agent. He's made quite an impact.
Hey, however, if Dylan Stoner makes the team, we have to do this. In Las Vegas, there's got to be a section in the stadium that we can just call it the Stoner Dudes.
I'm pretty sure Stoner Dude would love that. And
Absolutely.
It's illegal in Vegas.
Section 420.
Oh, I love that.
On Tuesday, the Raiders announced the signing of veteran free agent cornerback Casey Hayward, who was cut by the Chargers back in March. Hayward reunites with new defensive coordinator Gus Bradley after spending 4 seasons together with the Chargers. Hayward, who will be 32 in September, will be entering his 10th NFL season. He started 13 games for Los Angeles in 2020 and had 1 interception. He has collected 23 interceptions over the past 9 seasons.
I love this signing. Here is the depth we need. Here's the experience we need. Let's go.
Yeah, with Arnett and Mullen being so young, I think that they're both talented. We could use somebody like Casey Hayward. He knows Bradley's system, knows what Bradley expects. He can help coach up these younger players. This is typical of what the Raiders do. They draft. They're going young, so they work through the draft, and then free agency, they bring in guys that know the system and can help their young guys come up faster. So this is a great signing. We didn't, we're not losing anything from him. We can gain from this without losing, I believe. And yes, he does provide that depth in case Arnett goes down again. But, hopefully, I'm still got my fingers crossed for Richard Sherman,
Unlikely, but it's always possible. On Wednesday, the same day that we are recording this show, the Raiders announced that veteran safety Jeff Heath was being released. After 1 season with the Raiders, he is now being given an opportunity to hook on with another team who is looking to add veteran safety presence to their secondary.
I know that Jeff Heath had that interception against the Chiefs and that, turned the game around and all that. Thank you, Jeff Heath. Once a Raider, always a Raider. But come on, man. I know he pushed Derek Carr out of bounds and Derek Carr fumbled the ball, but he got knocked out by Sam Darnold, okay? Like, come on, Jeff. And there's another thing I called. I thought we would trade for him, but he got traded for it. Sam Darnold is a good quarterback. But Jeff Heath, hey, good luck somewhere else, catching on somewhere else, And thanks for, what you did do for the Raiders.
He was a good player, and I wish him well. But as I mentioned this before, we have several players for the Raiders who are good players. Good is no longer good enough. We need better.
All right, and for our discussion portion today, it's going to be a long one. We're going to talk about the draft. Round 1, we picked up Alex Leatherwood, offensive tackle, Alabama. The former 5-star prospect out of Pensacola, Florida, had one of the most heralded career of any offensive lineman in this year's draft. He allowed just 2 sacks and 3 quarterback pressures during his senior season. He was a unanimous first-team All-American selection and was awarded the Outland Trophy as the nation's best interior lineman.
So, once again, I do like this signing because he can play inside, outside. We have options with them. Yeah, and just, allowing just 2 sacks, 3 quarterback pressures during his senior season. I mean, that's the type of player we want, Somebody that can play, man. Especially on the right side, Colton Miller's got that left side down. We saw what Trent Brown was able to do to Khalil Mack. We got Khalil Mack coming around at the end of the year this year, so we needed to secure that right tackle, and we got him. I think we got him. And then again, good. I believe that if Leatherwood struggles, we always have good. And that's the importance of having these guys that can play multiple positions. This is a great pick. I know that, a lot of people didn't expect this kind of pick, but I like the fact that Tom Cable is able to say, hey, this kid's good. This is who we want. All right. There's a lot of people that say, Gruden, he's the one doing all this. And he gets the final say if they can't make a decision and things like that. But they are working together. And this is Tom Cable's guy. So I really appreciate that that's how they approach the draft. Now we'll see what happens. Remember, Colton Miller, he didn't come out all that highly touted, right? Yeah. But he's turned into a guy that plays well. So I'm excited to see what Alex Leatherwood can do.
I'll have to admit that when he was picked, I was like, who? Now, I did like the position being picked, but personally, like I said, T3 kind of convinced me about Tevin Jenkins. He was a ready-made right tackle, and I was just like, who is this guy? The more I researched him, the happier I was with the pick. His versatility is very valuable. There's always the possibility of him playing right guard if he doesn't succeed at right tackle. I'm not thrilled that we are getting a left tackle and moving him to left tackle. I don't understand why we can't get players for the position that we need, and we are continually drafting players or signing players and moving them. I don't understand why we have to keep doing that, but I'm okay with Leatherwood. I think he's going to work out well. I just really thought that with an actual right tackle on the board who had done well, that we would have gone that way. But of course, we're the Raiders. We're not going to go that way.
Left tackle is the best offensive lineman, on the squad for the most part. All right. So again, we're talking about him being able to play inside, outside. We've talked about defenders in the past not being able to move around, but offensive players being able to do that. This is the new NFL. You need to be able to move around. If you can play left tackle in college, that means you're one of the best offensive linemen on that team. So you need to be able to be that same guy that can the best right tackle. All right. Now, I know the footwork is different, but at the same time, it's footwork. And you got to be able to do that. You know what I mean? So I think that you just take the best offensive line that you got, the best offensive lineman that you want, and you coach them up.
Well, everybody knows that Tevin Jenkins was the guy that I wanted. But having said that, I took a deep breath. Alex Leatherwood is the guy, and I'm happy with the pick. Now, there's been some talk about the fact that he's had some trouble with pass blocking, but the Raiders want to run this year, and he is an excellent run blocker. And that right-hand side, if you put Good and Leatherwood next to each other, that's going to move some mountains, and that's exactly what we're looking for this year. So, good on the pick.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how the run blocking goes this year compared to last year. Last year, we were struggling a bit. In round 2, we moved up in the draft to select TCU safety Trayvon Moehrig with the 43 pick. During his 3 years at TCU, Moehrig played a multitude of positions. Despite his versatility, it is unlikely that Gus Bradley will overload the young man with more than he can handle in his first year, unlike Paul Guenther would have done. At TCU, Moehrig totaled 7 interceptions, 21 passes defensed, 2 forced fumbles, and 124 tackles. He is projected to move into the back end of the Raiders' defensive backfield and take over at free safety.
Well, I'm happy with the pick. The fact that we were able to come away with who's the guy who's arguably the number one safety, I was surprised to see the other two go ahead of him, to be honest with you. But Mayock saw that he was there on the board, and he made the move. So kudos to Mayock for making that trade and getting Trayvon Moehrig.
I was thrilled that we got him, and I was thrilled that we jumped the Dallas Cowboys to do it. Their entire defensive backfield dream got dashed the entire draft, and it was beautiful to watch.
Again, I think the key word is versatility, right? That's what it takes in the NFL now. All right, you're playing spread offenses, right? So you need to be able to move in, move down, move up, move out, interchange these players, right? That you have to be able to do that. So if you're a guy that doesn't quite work out at free safety, but you can play maybe slot or outside corner or something like that, or you're a hybrid linebacker safety type guy, that you have more value, and it really is a smart angle to take right now. Because again, I hate to beat a dead horse, but Corey Littleton was coming out of the last year's free agency as a highly touted linebacker, but he was unable to make the adjustment in a defense that wasn't suited to him. So you got to be able to make adjustments in the NFL, period. If coaches got to be able to make adjustments, then players need to be able to make adjustments, And for me as a fan, I'm feeling good, right? Because not only do we got Moehrig, right, this hot rocket kid, the best free safety in the draft, but we got Carl Joseph, and I think we got the other kid down here that we took as the free safety, Tyree Gillespie. I mean, that's how important safeties are, right? They are looking to get guys bodies, man. We need bodies, and if one guy doesn't work out, we got to get another guy in there, So this is a great pick. First 2 rounds, man, I was happy, and I called it, Raider Nation. I called it. You know why? Because I don't sit there and want the team to draft who I want them to draft. I want them to draft what we need as far as positions. That's what's important, right? And then again, you're getting versatile guys. If it doesn't quite work out at one position, you got another guy that can play that position, and you move around. I mean, we are playing chess right now. All right, we're not just reaching out and trying to grab the biggest name. You know what I mean? We're killing it in this chess game by setting ourselves up. With all these pieces. We got our rooks now. We got our queen. We got our bishops. We got all that stuff now, man. We got guys that we can take across angles and all this and that, man. I think this is a great draft. And now, I think from this draft beyond, or next year's draft and beyond, now we can start making different kind of moves because we got these kids, man. We got some good talent, and we got depth. And versatile depth. So there you go.
In round 3, with the first pick of the Raiders' back-to-back picks, they selected Buffalo defensive end Malcolm Koonce. At 6'2", 249 pounds, Koonce is long and fluid coming off the edge. While at Buffalo, the pass rusher totaled 109 tackles, 22.5 tackles for loss, and 17 sacks. He comes out of the same school and played the same position as another former Raider, potential Hall of Famer Khalil Mack.
This one right here, I think when I saw somebody tweet that, oh man, we're just trying to replace Khalil Mack, so we just go to that school. This is typical Raiders right here. That's when I turned social media off and just enjoyed hanging out with the Raider Nation that was having a great time in Vegas during the draft parties, all right? Stop with all that, y'all. They went to this kid because they think this kid can play, man, all right? And we got Yannick Ngakoue. All right, so you can get this kid some time to develop behind Yannick, behind Mad Max. You can behind Cleveland. They're thinking he's coming in as a third down guy. He's gonna replace Arden Key. He doesn't have to come in to be Khalil Mack. Just because they went to the same school, that doesn't mean that they're expecting him to be Khalil Mack. They like what he can bring to the table. So don't be that guy that's like, oh, man, we still lost Khalil Mack. So, man, they're just trying to replace him. And that's typical Raider stuff. You sound like a twat, all right? So, I doubt that guy listens to this show. So I'm just going to go ahead and get off my soapbox right now.
A couple of quick comments on this pick. Number one, the pick was kind of an eyebrow raiser for me. I was hoping that they would go with a defensive line player. But then when I took a look at the pick closer and took a look at Malcolm Koonce's stats, and saw his strengths, I saw 2 things. And I've heard this mentioned by several of the other Raider podcasts. Number one, Max Crosby last year was gassed a lot of the time because he was really being overworked. So you bring in a guy like Malcolm Koonce, fresh legs, and this is going to free up Max Crosby. He's not going to have to work as hard. So I think between the 2 of these guys, they can almost tag team at that position, bring in fresh legs, and really maximize. So I don't think 10 sacks is out of the realm of possibility for this guy if he comes in as a good situational guy. And one of the comment I will make is when this pick was made, I said, yep. All right, Carl Nassib, you better step it up because there's your job.
Now, he was also a linebacker, right?
I believe so. I believe they lined him up on the edge as a linebacker.
Right. So, again, this is one of those guys that they're expecting to come in as a defensive end also, right, because we play the 4-3. You know what I mean? But that, again, a versatile player.
And I'm also okay with this pick. The only thing I question is if we couldn't have gotten him a little bit later in the draft. Why draft such a raw prospect in the 3rd round? But probably everyone that they really wanted was already off the board. So they're just working to build the future now.
I mean, again, right, we talked about Leatherwood. Why would we take him in that spot? But the Ravens were looking at him. So, you know that these guys are talking. They got an idea of who wants who and things like that. I mean, I think that they knew they wanted this guy. And I think that, they knew he wasn't going to make it past the third round. I think that's how we got to approach it, guys. These professionals, Mike Mayock is a professional. John Gruden's a professional. Gus Bradley's a professional. Tom Cable's, they're professionals. They know what they want. We want something different all the time, right? But they know what they want and what they need to fit in their system and who they can coach. So that's why I just try to take a step back and enjoy what's happening, instead of just trying to anticipate it all the time and hope for the Raiders to draft somebody I want, So I don't know. I think the kid, though, you talk about, you brought up T3, you just brought up Nassib, right? We talked about Yannick. We talked about Mad Max. We talked about Cleveland Farrell. This kid, there's not a lot of pressure on this kid to come in and perform right now. There was more pressure on Mad Max to do that. You know what I mean? But this kid can come in and you can develop him. And I know that's not what everybody wants to hear, but that's the way the NFL works, man. You don't just always draft a guy that you think is going to come in and be an impact now, especially in the third, fourth, fifth round, sixth rounds. You draft a guy that, you can play, a heady guy, a versatile guy, and you bring him in knowing that there's not a lot of pressure on him to win the game for the team. It's a smart pick in my mind.
And this defense is really a patchwork quilt type of defense. But as I've heard people say over and over again, you're not going to turn this whole defense around in 1 year. But they have certainly put together some good pieces that I think will transition this defense and make it a lot better than it was last year.
Also in round 3, the Raiders tabbed a safety who they believe could become their next will linebacker. At 6'3", 240 pounds, out of Virginia Tech, Divine Diablo, gotta love that name, followed up a pandemic-shortened season in which he racked up 55 tackles, 4 interceptions, and used the Senior Bowl and his pro day to rise in draft stock. At the Senior Bowl, they moved him to linebacker after he'd already been named a team captain, and his performance on the field spoke volumes for his strength, versatility, and speed. Remember the name, Divine Diablo.
I saw this guy play all throughout college nearby Virginia Tech and really knew that we had something there when we drafted him. I was really excited about the pick. And the fact that he was able to transition from safety to linebacker at the Senior Bowl and do as well as he did, and this is after already having been named a team captain, this speaks of his character, but also speaks of his versatility. And again, this is a pick. When he was picked, I looked straight at Tanner Muse and said, okay, Tanner Muse, this is your job we're talking about. So now we have a direct competition, and now I think we have somebody who can come in and do what they envision Tanner Muse to do, but at a higher level.
Hey, man, take it easy on my boy Tanner Muse, all right? I believe that he's still going to come in and perform well and be a good, productive team or part of this team. Now, again, though, versatility, right? That's the theme. That should be the theme of this entire episode, right? That's the way that the NFL is going now. A safety, they moved to wheel linebacker, 6'3", 240. He can hit too. I mean, look, I'm excited. I'm excited because what we're doing is we're giving ourselves options, all right? We have a lot of options right now at linebacker, at safety, right? Now, you know what? This is what I envision, right? When we're in dime, right, or nickel, like we don't have to worry about speed, size, ball hawking. We don't have coverage skills. We don't have to worry about that. We got a lot of players to choose from, and we can put them in situations where they would perform at their peak now. So again, man, I'm excited about this draft. I see the Raiders really putting together a plan, right? A 3 to 4 year plan, 2 to 3 year plan, little bit by little bit. And all that, these pieces are starting to come together now. And a lot of Raider Nation is upset, win now, and we all want to win now. But it does take time, right, to come off of that coaching change, city change. But we're getting those players to do this, man. And Divine Diablo, a little bit of a sacrilegious name, but hey, it's going to be a badass jersey, I'll tell you that.
Maybe I should get a jersey that says Diablo Stoner. I'm excited for this guy. He is who Tanner Muse was supposed to be last year. Now, I'm not completely discounting Muse. I know that he has bulked up a lot, and he's still working on it. He is still working on getting his strength up and getting ready to play linebacker in the NFL. But Diablo is leaps and bounds ahead of him, and he has the mind to be able to pull it off. Muse, I know, has had a little bit of trouble getting caught up to the NFL mentality, being able to switch plays immediately, know where he's supposed to be on the field. Okay, this play gets called. No, I got to move to B over here. That player's got to move to B over there. Diablo is already light years ahead of where he was. I'm excited to see what he's going to do, and I'm really glad we picked this guy up.
It was not Tanner's fault that he was selected in the third round in last year's draft. That's not on him. But now it's squarely on him to prove that he's worth the third round selection that the Raiders gave up on him last year. So it's clearly on him. So we have two guys who have fairly similar characteristics and traits. But again, Diablo's just so much, I think, head and shoulders above him. Tanner Muse is really going to have to work hard. So if he makes the squad, he will definitely earn it.
Look, I've been talking a lot about Tanner Muse being hidden, like this toe injury was just maybe minor. But you know what? I was talking to Clay Baker, and he was like, no, that was a real, major toe injury. So, I mean, I'm going to give Tanner Muse a shot, We talked about him being a special teamer. There's a 53-man roster. Maybe Diablo starts over Tanner Muse in the defensive side of the ball or on the defensive side of the ball. But Tanner Muse is still going to be that kind of player that we need, man. You don't let these guys go. Like I said, Tanner Muse has a better shot of making this roster than these free agents that we signed, the undrafted free agents that we signed. Tanner Muse is who they wanted, and he's similar to this Divine Diablo. Size, speed, versatility. I don't think it's quite over for Muse yet, but Divine Diablo, the way that guy was hitting, I'm definitely excited to see what he can do on the field.
In round 4, the Raiders trade their 162nd pick and number 200 pick overall to move up to pick number 143. There they selected Missouri safety Tyree Gillespie. In his 4 years with the Tigers, Gillespie recorded 12 pass breakups and 148 total tackles in 41 games of action. The Ocala, Florida native is a fast and physical safety and is known for taking good angles on tackles and stopping the run. I'm excited to see this guy.
Yeah, I think this guy is going to be your backup on the back end. I think he's going to back up Trayvon Merrick. He is really good. He's really fast and physical, and I really like this signing.
This guy could end up being the steal of the draft. He really could, especially where we got him at. He was a good pick. He was a really good pick. I think it was the highest value pick at that position.
Well, I mean, let's get it done. I mean, like I said, we got a lot to choose from. We got versatile players, big players, fast players. This team is going to turn the corner this year, y'all. All right? I think it just came out that we got the 6th hardest schedule or whatever, but we got the players that we need to compete in those. Last year, we talked about early on in the season before the collapse that we had the depth that we needed to still compete when our guys were going down. All we're doing now is adding to that depth with players that are better. I mean, I'm excited to see what all these players can do. And you know what? Like again, a lot of people are upset about the Leatherwood pick, but we went after defensive players right after that. This front office knows what we need, all right? They saw the Buccaneers bend Patrick Mahomes like a pretzel, and that's what we're going to get ready to do. And we're going to have the safeties that are going to lay his ass out, all right? Sam Darnold's not going to run over these guys. You know what I mean? Patrick Mahomes, he ain't going to run over these guys, all right? These guys are ball hawks. These are the guys that we need to compete, against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, against Herbert and the Chargers, and hopefully not Aaron Rodgers with the Broncos. But the Broncos have some good receivers too. You know what I mean? I love what we're doing as a team. Yes, I'm Raider homer, but man, I'm more grounded in reality, I believe, than most fans that are whining and complaining about the picks that we made. because I'm looking at it from what we need as a team, and we are doing what we need as a team, starting in free agency, getting all those defensive linemen. All right. Last year we got the linebackers. This year we got the safeties and the right tackle to replace Trent Brown. We are on our way, Raider Nation.
At pick 167, the Raiders selected Illinois quarterback Nate Hobbs in round 5. From the time that he first came in, Hobbs led the defensive teams in snaps as a freshman. In his 4 years there, Hobbs received an All-Big Ten honorable mention after a 67-tackle junior season. He ended his senior season with 31 tackles and an interception, despite missing 5 games due to injury. He is an athletic cornerback with an excellent combination of size and speed. He has plenty of experience in cover 3 and press man techniques.
All right, now Homer, I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction right here. I say that the Raiders, and of course, I'm not on the coaching staff, and I don't have any inside information. But I think the Raiders start Casey Hayward in the slot and keep Arnett on the edge. And I think that Hobbs and Amik Robertson are both going to be groomed to take over that slot corner position. Hobbs, I think, maybe has a little bit of a lead on that position. I think he probably has a little bit of a head above Amik Robertson at this point. But again, we'll have to see what training camp does. But I see him moving into the eventual slot to take over for Casey Hayward, who I think will start the season at that position.
I'm not going to pretend to know a whole lot about Hobbs, but when I'm looking at this, he has a lot of experience in cover 3 and press man techniques. It makes me think Gus Bradley, right? Like we were talking about, Tom Cable wanting Leatherwood. We all know Gruden loves his wide receivers and his offensive guys, but they focused on what Gus Bradley wanted this year. I think this is a Gus Bradley pick. This front office is working together with the coaching staff. It's not just Gruden being Gruden. A lot of people throw out, Gruden, he can't build a team. He had Tony Dungy's team. With the Raiders, he had Al Davis build that team. And he's just picking who he wants, and he's ruining us. But he's not. This, to me, says that they are picking based on what Gus Bradley wants. This kid right here, Nate Hobbs. You know what? And I'll take Hayward in the slot. I've heard some rumors about Arnett going to the slot, but again, we have a lot of depth right now, and we're drafting guys to play in these schemes that we have. Our coaches are working together. These guys are going to be successful no matter where they come from, what round they're picked in, because our coaching staff is working together with our front office and making sure that we're getting in the depth that we need to back up the depth that we already have, that backs up the starters we got. I'm getting pumped up, Raider Nation. If you ain't getting pumped up, you're not a Raider fan.
Oh, I'm pumped up.
Where is the Homer's hammer? Homer's hammer.
Boom, 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 boom.
Homer. Homer's hammer.
There we go. I think this is a great pickup. I do not think that Amik Robertson is going to work out in the slot. I looked up his stats. Did you know he's smaller than me? He is smaller than me. Height-wise, everything. I don't see him doing well in the slot. Hobbs, I believe he has return experience. He's going to look good doing that. He's going to look good as a backup.
Well, there you go.
He's going to look good as a backup. He's going to give great depth. And like I said, he's athletic, great combination, size and speed. And this has Bradley written all over it. Cover 3 press man techniques. Bradley made this pick.
He may be a long shot to make the team as a 5th rounder, but I think he's got a good shot at making the team.
Well, I wanted us to take a returner. I think I had us taking a returner in the 3rd round, though. Again, I need to do maybe a little bit more research on some of these later round picks. But the fact that you just talked about him being a good returner, that's what makes me think he's going to make this team. When you say that, right? Not only does he play well in the cover 3 and press man techniques, right? But he can return. This team, look, we tried to get Harris, right? We couldn't quite get him. Now we got Hobbs who can return. Rashard can return too, but that backfield's looking a little crowded right now. So now you got, we know we need defensive guys. So if we can get a defensive guy that can return, that helps the squad overall, period. That's now that you said that, Heidi, I'm excited you said that. Thank you for doing your research. And, hey, this kid's going to make the team.
I hope I'm not mixing him up with someone else. Who knows? I've read a lot of names lately.
You better not be.
And finally, in round 7, at pick 230, the Raiders rounded out their draft class by selecting Pitt center Jimmy Morrissey. A 3-time All-ACC selection, Morrissey has the distinction of being a walk-on who worked his way onto a scholarship, then as a starter, then being named as a team captain, and then finishing off his Pitt career by receiving the Burlsworth Trophy, given annually to the most outstanding college player who began his career as a walk-on. And this guy has got it. He was rated as one of the best centers in the draft.
You know, we've been talking about, or I've been, pointing out that I called this, I called that. There's no way in hell I thought we were going to take a center. All right. I thought, we extended Andre James to a 3-year contract, and we signed Nick Martin, who was one of 7 centers that only allowed 1 sack last year. So I was surprised by this pick. But then again, he could play guard and center. Versatility. We'll see if he makes the team or not. I still think he has a better shot than some of the undrafted free agents. But again, hey, I'm excited about this guy. A guy that can play multiple positions, man, is a guy that's a value and an asset to the Raiders and it can help us win. So, but again, I did not think we were going to take a center, but it's exciting to read up on this kid.
I see Morrissey as a practice squad guy, but I'll tell you what, with his work ethic, and this is the kind of guy that Mayock just absolutely loves. He was gushing about him when he made the pick. And I'll tell you, this is the kind of character guy that the Raiders really want. I think he embodies everything that the Raiders want to bring in as far as foundational pieces and character guys, aside from talent. So, again, I'm really rooting for him to make the team. I don't see him making the 53-man, but certainly can see him working his way on the practice squad. But I think you're going to see and hear a lot of things from Mr. Morrissey over the course of training camp.
Oh, yeah, I definitely see him on the practice squad, but I don't see him going somewhere else. I could see another team getting interested in picking him up, though.
Well, if he's good, we better keep him on the team and not put him on the practice squad.
Maybe we can keep him quiet.
Well, I mean, because you want that depth at guard, right? You got 2 centers that can play fairly well, one that you believe in and one that has performed on the field already. You got Simpson behind Incognito, right? But who's really confident if behind Good, whoever's behind Good? So this kid, in my mind, has a good shot of making the team, especially since he's versatile.
Okay, and our other discussion question is from one of our listeners from across the pond, Soren. He's from Denmark. He asked us a tough question. Why is it that the defense for the Raiders can't seem to come together, no matter what players or coaches have been with us? And he extended that to beyond the last few years. He wanted to know for the last couple decades. T3 has an answer for us, and here it is.
All right, here's the long answer. I've done a lot of research on this. Now, the Raiders' defense has been a systemic problem, and it's really compounded itself over the last decade, even prior to Al Davis's death in 2011. Now, if you take a closer look at drafts over the past 10 years, really 11 years, look at the defensive interior linemen taken across the league and then compare it to the Raiders, and you will see an obvious pattern and a glaring weakness. If you go all the way back to 2011, Marcel Darius was selected by Buffalo, the number 3 overall pick. Not a bad pick at all. In 2012, Don Terry Poe and Fletcher Cox went back-to-back, 11 and 12. Both went to the Pro Bowl. Good again. In 2013, Sheldon Richardson was selected number 13 overall. He was a Pro Bowler. In 2014, Aaron Donald went number 13 overall. I don't need to say anything more there. In 2015, Danny Shelton went 12th overall to the Cleveland Browns, but a pair of defensive ends, Leonard Williams and Vic Beasley, went 6th and 8th, respectively, and they both went to the Pro Bowl. In 2016, defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins was selected 12th, but once again, 2 defensive ends went higher, Joey Bosa and DeForest Buckner, and both went to the Pro Bowl. In 2017, no defensive tackles were selected before Dalvin Tomlinson went number 55 overall in the second round of the Giants. 7 defensive ends and 4 linebackers were first-round selections that year. Now, in 2018, John Gruden's first year back with the Silver and Black, Vita Vea and Deron Payne were back-to-back nose tackles selected in the 12th and 13th spots. Now, this is significant because the Raiders owned the 10th pick, and they could have selected either, but they traded back and went with tackle Colton Miller at number 15 overall instead. When Mike Mayock came in prior to the 2019 season, he and Gruden then combined for a productive 2019 draft. They selected Cleve Ferrell, number 4 overall. Even though he was listed as a defensive end, he was used in spots on the interior. Defensive end Nick Bosa and defensive tackle Quentin Williams were selected just before Ferrell, and Ed Oliver and a couple of Clemson guys, Christian Wilkins and Dexter Lawrence, were selected in the middle of round 1. It is possible that the Raiders could have selected any of these 3 guys and still ended up with Ferrell later in round 1. In 2020, last year, Derek Brown went number 7 and Javon Kinlaw went number 14. They were the only defensive interior linemen selected in round 1. And from that draft, the only Pro Bowler from the defensive side of the ball was second overall pick Chase Young of the Washington football team. In 2021, no defensive interior linemen were selected in round 1, not a strong class, but 2 guys went in the top 10 of round 2. So what does all this information tell us? So here's a closer look at each of the last 11 Raiders draft classes. It tells us that the Raiders have neglected the interior of the defense for way too long. Here's the breakdown. The Raiders drafted no defensive linemen in 2011. In 2012, Christo Bulakidi. Okay, so there. I dropped the Christo Bulakidi reference, and this is probably the first only time you'll hear it on the podcast. He was chosen in the 6th round, played in 13 games, but was never a starter. The next year, he played in only 5 games. Then he was gone before the 2014 season started. In 2013, Stacy McGee was selected in the 6th round. He played in 15 games, started 5, then played 11 games the next year and started none. 16 games for as a starter in 2015, then started 9 games in 2016, gone after that. He lasted 4 seasons. In the 2014 draft, yes, the Raiders got Khalil Mack in the 1st round. Justin Ellis was then drafted in the 4th round. He started as a rookie, played 14 games. He played in 12 games, starting 9 in 2015. He played in 16 games, but only started 4 in 2016. He started 14 games in 2017, played only 6 games, with 1 start in 2018, and then gone. He lasted 5 seasons. In 2015, Mario Edwards was drafted in the 2nd round, number 35 overall, as a defensive tackle. He played in 14 games, started 10 his rookie year, and then in 2016 he played just 2 games, started none. He was moved to end, started 14 games in 27, then he was gone. 4 seasons. In the 2016 draft, no interior defensive linemen were taken. In 2017, Eddie Vanderdoes was selected in the 3rd round. Boo. He started 13 games as a rookie and was never heard from after that. In 2018, P.J. Hall was selected in round 2 and only lasted 2 seasons. Maurice Hurst was chosen in round 5 and worked his way into the starting lineup. Both are now gone. P.J. Hall lasted 2 seasons. Maurice Hurst lasted 3. In 2019, Cleve Ferrell was selected as a defensive end but played all along the line in his first 2 seasons. No other interior defensive players were selected. Cleve now enters year 3 of a less than stellar career so far. In 2020, no interior defensive line were selected. In 2021, no interior defensive line were chosen, but Darius Stills, an undrafted free agent, was brought in this week. So, long story short, in summary, the Raiders have neglected this position for too long. The Raiders need to change their philosophy on defense. The back end needed to get fixed. I get that. But I'm now pinning my hopes on Ferrell, Stills, and at least 3 and probably 4 of the 1-year contract guys that were brought in before the draft to lend stability. Then you need to start adding 1 to 2 guys every year and then keep the best. I personally think they should have drafted the D lineman in the 3rd round of this year's draft, but there is some wiggle room this year. The Raiders defense needs to start from the middle. It needs to build every year, and it needs to start now. Just look at the recent history of the defensive line. This is why the team is not winning.
Okay, but look, the danger about doing this, right, is hindsight is 2020. All right, this can cause people to be upset, right? We could have had Adrian Peterson, Marshawn Lynch, Aaron Rodgers. We could have had any of the great players that we didn't take, right? But we also could have had Johnny Manziel. All right, look, now we ended up with Quentin Williams, right? We got Solomon Thomas. We got Hankins right now. Now, these are not Aaron Donald type players, right? These aren't necessarily game changers, right? Yes, the middle of the defense is the biggest weakness we have on the defense. And it's not just at defensive line, it's also at linebacker. It's been like that for a long time. Now, I just, it's dangerous to do this, man, because you want this guy, you want that guy, and then that's what leads to everybody being pissed off about getting Leatherwood. That leads to knee-jerk reactions, all right? The bottom line is Vanderdoes, when he first came in, that dude was pushing the pocket, and he was dominant, but then he got injured, right? Even P.J. Hall was playing pretty well, right? Maurice Hurst was last year rated as one of the higher defensive linemen, right, per PFF, right? We've been talking about that, But sometimes these guys just don't work out. That's the revolving door that the NFL is nowadays, right? 3 years, you're out. 3 strikes, you're out. 3 years, you're out for the most part in the NFL. Now, the thing is, though, we are going to have to make moves. You never know what these draft picks are going to do, right? Maybe if we would have got Aaron Donald, right, he wouldn't have worked out for us, right? Because we have nobody else around. A lot of times, these players play well because they're around other players that help them play well. So what we got to do as a team right now, whether it's through the draft or free agency, is find these players that play well together and then lock them down. And, of course, we all want to hit home runs in the draft, but it doesn't necessarily work that way. Think about Derek Carr, right? Would you consider him a home run? Probably not, right? But at the same time, he shattered our passing records, and he's 24th quarter comebacks. You just need to build a team around certain type of players sometimes. And so I would say just be patient this year, Raider Nation, because this could be the year that we make that leap forward as far as being able to dominate the middle of the defense with the Quentin Williams, with the Solomon Thomas, with the Hankins, right, who was, remember, against Carolina, Hankins, he shifted into the interior of the lineman and hit the guy in the middle of to stop the 1 yard gain. And won the game for us, man. And I know that a lot of people say we need this great linebacker, but Kwiatkowski is a good linebacker. If he's not making the tackle, he blows up blockers. He's knocking people into the blockers. So just be patient one more year. And I think that this year wasn't really a good draft class for defensive tackles, right? I forget, who's all who in the draft, but it's just the bottom line is, look, not every draft pick's going to work out. And then sometimes the draft picks that you think are not going to work out. So it's a game that these coaches and these front office guys are playing. And we just need to hope that it comes together this year with a person like a Gus Bradley who's playing a simpler style of defense where it allows the players to make these kind of plays. We're playing a one-gap defense still, so hopefully this is the year, though, that we can turn this around in the middle, because if we can do that, then we can win. These, like I was saying to Raider Man, they talk about Derek Carr not being this, not being that, right? But Derek Carr, whenever you give him the ball with 2 minutes to go, you know that you got a chance to win. Now, when you give the ball back to the opposing offense and our defense needs to make a stop, you don't feel that way. So, yes, we do need these defensive tackles that can push the pocket in the middle and these linebackers in the middle and free safeties in the middle that can dominate. But it's baby steps, right? You knew when John Gruden came back that he was going to build his offense. Now he has his offense. And this year they focused on that defense, and they got the defensive coordinator that we needed. So don't, while T3, you did a great job with your research, man. I'm just saying, like, Raider Nation, it's coming now. You got to think about now. And I believe that we are in position now to get that done as far as personnel and coaching staff.
Yeah, but we have to start somewhere. I think that was T3's point. We haven't really started anywhere. It's been neglected. Look at even this year. We signed 15 players? We had one.
No, it started with Cleveland Farrell. It started with Mad Max Crosby. It started by signing Kwiatkowski. Now you got Solomon Thomas, who was a highly touted third rounder. You got Quentin Williams. You had Hankins, who's still clogging up the middle. It's starting now. Like I said, they had to build that offense first, because this is an offensive league. But now And it sucks to say, oh, well, you wish they could do it all at the same time, simultaneously or whatever. But it doesn't always work that way. You needed an offense that can keep you in the games. And now we're building a defense and we hope with this roster can close out games. So it started when Gruden came back because he was building from the trenches out. But it just didn't quite work out. And that's the trick of it all. That's the gamble of the draft and the gamble of free agency. But now I believe we're going to be in much better position to get these stops because we do have a hard-hitting middle linebacker. We do have Hankins, who is rated pretty well against the run. We're getting a Solomon Thomas, who's probably better than P.J. Hall, right? And some of those other guys, Vander Does. We got a Quentin Williams, who played next to Yannick Ngakoue, right? So they got that repertoire. So while we wish we had that, defense, this potential on our defense last year, we had to be patient and wait for now, until now. So that's the way the NFL works, man. And so, I don't know. I think we have started, though.
And I think really, like I said, I give them a little bit of a wiggle room this year, but they really need 3, maybe 4 of those one-year contract guys to pan out in order to make things a lot more stable. If that happens, then we'll be in good shape. But if not, if they all go, then we're right back in the same boat that we were in before.
As I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, we need to start somewhere. We haven't started. You say we started 3 years ago. We started 3 years ago, then why has the line been porous? Yeah, this year it looks a lot better. But the thing is, as far as young players, as far as people that we signed as rookies this year, one person is a defensive tackle. One person's on the D line. Once again, ignoring it, signing veterans, 1-year contract, just to limp through. Just like we did with middle linebackers for years and years and years. That's the problem. Address the defense. Defense wins championships. People say, yeah, but it's an offensive-driven league. Why did Tampa Bay win the Super Bowl this year? Because of their defense. Simple. Build the defense.
But they also had Gronk and Tom Brady.
Yeah, they built their defense and then they built their offense. They built their defense so their offense could respond.
Yeah, that defense has to be that solid foundation.
Anyways.
So it's not Derek Carr's fault.
Oh, absolutely not his fault.
I'm not. Did I ever say it was?
No, I want to hear that from Heidi.
Did I ever say it was? Have I ever said it was Derek Carr's fault? No, I haven't.
I will tell you this. I will go on record and say there are not a hell of a lot of quarterbacks in the league who could even withstand and put up the kind of numbers that Derek Carr's put up with such a horrible defense behind him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, cool. So like I'm saying, though, you knew John Gruden was going to go for his offense first because he's an offensive coach. All right, and then you would hope that Arden Key doesn't slap, Ryan Fitzpatrick in the face. You know what I mean? But that happened. You know what I mean? So, again, they started in the trenches the first year, but it was on the offensive, that Gruden came back, but it was on the offensive side of the ball for the most part, right? With Parker and Colton Miller, but they also drafted that year. That's the year that they drafted Hurst too, right? So they did start somewhere. It just hasn't panned out, except for Colton Miller. But that's the risk of the draft. So all I'm saying is, like, it's not like this coaching staff has neglected the defensive side of the ball. They just not have panned out. The players have not panned out.
They didn't even bother getting a defensive coordinator for 3 years.
Look, this is the other thing, right? I'm going to say, yes, Gunther, his system was way too complicated, right? But when he had Geno Atkins, Vontaze Burfict, George Ialoka, and Pac-Man Jones, that defense was a playoff caliber type team, right? And so those players were just as unknown as anybody we drafted, but they panned out. Sometimes these players need to be able to step up. All right, and that's the risk we take on a team as a team, right? Jay Schrader, Marunovich, right? Some of these other guys that were playing well, Hosteller, he wasn't all that great. Look, I'm just saying, sometimes it doesn't pan out. Sometimes you just got to be patient. And now we're looking at a lot of defensive guys. coming off an 8-8 record. Gruden's coming into his 4th year, and now his defense is stacked. His offense is stacked. We have Ruggs. You can say what you want about him not getting off the press, but that guy, once he gets stronger, he's going to run by you. Parker, right? You saw what he did in the end zone at the last game of the year, right? When he jumped up for that ball. He's a red zone threat. Waller, right? He's a red zone threat. He's a threat all over the field. All right? Josh Jacobs, right? People were like, oh, don't get that guy. You can get him into the 3rd round. But he panned out. Sometimes these players, they just need to pan out. We needed Hurst to step up and dominate like he did in college, but he didn't quite do it. Now imagine if Hurst stepped up and played like he did in college, this is not the argument we're having. You know what I mean? So that's all I'm saying. And yes, the pressure was put on Mad Max, and the pressure was put on Cleveland Farrell. But again, they have stepped up in my mind, honestly, especially Mad Max. Cleveland Farrell, a lot of people don't like his numbers, but the fact that he can go inside and out, that versatility, that's the type of utility tool that we need. They went for this guy that they believed in the ability to play inside and out. And he's showing up now. Now imagine Cleveland and Yannick on one side, or Cleveland and Mad Max on one side with Quentin Jefferson and Yannick on the other side in 3rd down situations, right? I mean, the potential is there, but are these players going to be able to get it done? And you could say Gunther couldn't coach his guys. That's in Oakland and Las Vegas, he couldn't do it. He couldn't get it done. But in Cincinnati, he got it done. And it was because of the players he had that were able to rise up. So sometimes these players just need to be able to rise up. We don't know who we're getting with any of these guys that we've just been talking about, or we didn't know what we were getting, from the other guys. We just thought that they would fit in the system, or we would be able to coach them up, and it doesn't always pan out. But all right, I'm done. I won't interrupt you anymore. I'm sorry.
In Cincinnati, they knew what they were getting. They knew Vonta's perfect. He was a very highly ranked player. The reason he didn't go in the draft was because of character issues. It wasn't his play. His play was top notch. Same with Pac-Man Jones. They knew who they were getting. Very, very highly ranked players. Here, we signed an undrafted free agent. I will say that Darius Stills is a very good undrafted free agent. I would not be surprised if he found his way onto the team. If not the 53-man roster, at least the practice squad, though. Anyways, T3, I think it's about time we took a break and listened to another Heidi's High Five.
And now it's time for another Heidi's High Five.
All right, here's this week's version of Heidi's High Five. Number 1, there was a lot of chatter in the Raider Nation about the Reach selection of Alex Leatherwood in round 1, and I will admit I was one of those. But after looking at the pick, the direction of the offense, and the confidence that Tom Cable and the Raiders have in this young man, I am willing to admit that I may have been wrong. Number 2, kudos to Mike Mayock for moving up in the draft and selecting Trayvon Merrick. Listed by most draft experts as the best safety on the board, Mayock didn't let him get away. I think this may have been the definitive move of the draft for the Raiders. Number 3, it may all be in the name, Divine Diablo. I was already familiar with this play from Virginia Tech near the nation's capital where I live, and I got to tell you, I think this is the pick that I'm most excited about. Talk about your true hybrid safeties with linebacker-type reaction, strength, and speed. Diablo could end up being a true wrecking machine for the Raiders, who could make everyone forget about the name Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. And yes, I'm going on record with that. Number 4, the guy I'm rooting for, drafted at number 230, center Jimmy Morrissey, is certainly a long shot to make a Raiders roster, although he could hook on the practice squad. But here's a guy who walked on at Pitt, became a scholarship player, a starter, a team captain, and then had a pretty distinguished career. Hard work pays off, people. I'll be following Jimmy Morrissey all during the time leading up to the beginning of the regular season and probably beyond. So good luck to Jimmy. And number 5, we couldn't let the week go without signing a tight end. And no, it wasn't Paul Butler again, and it wasn't Jason Witten, but it was a basketball player. At 6'5", 240, Carson Williams joins the Silver and Black as a tight end after playing 2 seasons of basketball at Northern Kentucky before transferring to Western Kentucky for his final 3 seasons. If the former Mr. Basketball from Kentucky can make it here, he can make it anywhere. Wait, that's New York. Oh well, scratching my head. But if this guy becomes a story, just remember, you heard it here first. And that is this week's version of Heidi's High Five.
Of course we signed a basketball player. Who hasn't played football since 8th grade? And for those of you across the pond or outside of the U.S., what that means is that was his 8th year of schooling. So he still had 4 years of high school left before he went to university. And it's been a long time since he played.
And I think Paul Butler is still out there somewhere.
He is. He keeps getting signed and let go and signed and let go. But who knows? It could be a really good story. It really could. I think we've kind of discussed almost everything he hit. Yeah. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, though, after the draft comes out, heart problems. Yeah. That's just what we would have needed, is to draft another guy with heart problems. The Reggie McKenzie Award lives on, so we're probably doing good not to have drafted him. All right, give us a call at 904-701-8667. Leave a voicemail or text message at that number, or send in your message via social media, and we will share your thoughts. We had a couple messages this past couple weeks, and what we're going to do is we are going to address one of Soren's other questions that he had. Who do we see as coming up as the Raiders fan favorites? I know that I personally have my favorites right now. Young players, Max Crosby, Hunter Renfrow. But who do we see coming in this year? Guys?
Homer, what do you think?
I guess Moehrig, right? You know, we've been talking about the middle of the field. This guy can cover, he can hit, he can do everything we ask him, you know, a free safety to do in the cover 3 scheme. I would say Moehrig. You know, that's we need a free safety. You know, that makes a cover 3. You know, that 3 safety is very important. You know, you're helping out these young guys in Mullen and Arnett, who I believe are still going to be the starter. But you know, you got to have that free safety that's going to lay the wood. You know, Carl Joseph, that's what people liked about him, is that he would lay the wood, but he was just undersized, and it was hard for him to cover tight ends when he was in the strong safety position. But you know, he's still a little undersized at the free safety position. So I would say Moehrig at free safety, being able to help out Arnett and Mullen and then deliver the wood and hopefully come up with some picks and be a ball hawk for us.
Well, the obvious ones for me are Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller, but I see Brian Edwards emerging this year on the offense. I think he's going to become a fan favorite if he can stay healthy. And on the defensive side of the ball, Trayvon Merrick is an obvious one. But if he has his head screwed on straight, I think David Irving is really going to become a fan favorite and a true Raider.
And I'm going to go with some of the obvious ones. If Dylan Stoner makes the squad, that jersey is going to fly off the shelf. And the other one that's going to be really popular, just because of his name, Divine Diablo. But I got my eye on him to also be fan favorite because of his play. I think his play could be really impressive and could really stand out and could become a big fan favorite. But I could also see Brian Edwards really emerging this year as well. I agree with you. Why don't you guys tell us some of your fan favorites? Write in, give us a call, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Now it's time for another rendition of Homer Did You Know?
Hey Homer, did you know?
All right, now it's time for another edition of Hey Homer, Did You Know? In this segment, I'll ask Homer and Heidi, and the rest of our listening audience, a Raiders-related question with 3 possible answers to choose from. It's multiple choice, so just give it your best guess. So here goes. Here's this week's question. Currently on the Raiders roster, there are 5 players from Alabama and 5 from Clemson. That's as of the draft. Which school boasts the next highest number of Raiders with 4 total? Is it A, Ohio State, or should I say the Ohio State University, B, West Virginia, Or C, Notre Dame? Heidi, I'm going to let you guess first. What do you think?
Whoa. This is my segment.
Oh, okay, sorry. However, you go ahead.
Okay,
I mean, you interrupted me before, so I might as well interrupt you now to get even. Go ahead.
Homer, what do you think?
C, Notre Dame.
Heidi, what's your guess?
I'm going to go with A, Ohio State.
Homer, you're right again. Notre Dame. 4-2.
Downtown Timmy Brown, Mr. Raider himself.
I got to let him catch
There you
up.
go. Ohio State and West Virginia each have 3 on the roster, not counting any undrafted free agents. Of course, we had 1 from West Virginia and 1 from Notre Dame, so that just ups their totals by 1. But, Homer, you're absolutely correct. Notre Dame's right behind Clemson and Alabama.
Interrupt that, Heidi.
Oh, I will. I'm planning for next week. And that about does it for this week on the Only Nation podcast. Please give us a call and give us your feedback on our interviews, our takes, and share us your takes. We will even get you on the show. If you'd like to help support the show, buy us a hot dog at buymeacoffee.com/onlynationpod. You can find me, Heidi Stabbert, on social media as at Kevlar Promdress on Twitter and Instagram, or Heidi Stabbert on Facebook. You can also catch me on my new show with Captain Jack Rackham on Tuesday nights, every other Tuesday, The Captain and His Wenches.
All right, Raider Nation, man. Be sure to contact us. Call 904-701-8667. Leave a voicemail. Let us know what you think. We want to know what the hell you think. You can also email us at onlynationpod@gmail.com. And you can find us both on Twitter and Instagram by going to @onlynationpod. We're also on Facebook and YouTube at The Only Nation Podcast. And be sure to hit like and follow wherever you catch us on social media. Subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting app and toss us a 5-star review if you think we're up to it. And you can find me, Raider Homer, on social media at theraiderhomerchannel.buzzsprout.com. Hey, and tune in to Live from Baja. The Raider Nation is well represented in Mexico, so tune in and check that episode out weekly.
I want to remind you once again how important it is for the growth of this show for us to get your input and your ideas. Send us your name and address so we can send you some free Raiders swag. Call us and tell us what you want to know. Throw us an interesting nugget that we can use on one of our upcoming episodes and become a part of what we're doing here. Remember, this is the Only Nation, and we want you to be a part of it. So call us, 904-701-8667. That's 904-701-8667. Call us now and join the Only Nation podcast family. And you can find me on social media, on Twitter at T3_sports703, on YouTube at T3 Sports Guy, and on Facebook at Tom, THOM Jones.
And remember to send us your address when you contact us. We will send you that Raider swag. Soren from Denmark, your package is on its way. It should be getting there soon. Until next time, everyone, though, go Raiders.
Go Raiders.
We are not just a nation, we are the only nation.